Hey everyone, and welcome to our latest explainer. Today we're diving into something really fascinating, a highly structured social system called Aqashka. Think of it as a total blueprint for how relationships, family, and community are built, guiding a person from the moment they're born all the way to the end of their life. Okay, this right here is the absolute core idea you have to get your head around from the get-go. This quote from the source material really frames everything. Aqashka isn't about managing the messy, unpredictable world of individual romance. Nope, it's about managing the future itself. It's a meticulously designed system for the long-term survival of the whole society. So what is it really? Well, it's defined as a lifecycle-based system. And the key thing to get is this. Marriage isn't just an optional relationship for your own personal happiness. In this system, marriage is a societal function. It's a spiritual obligation, and it's one of the core building blocks of the entire community. All right, so to really get how this all works in the real world, we're going to follow someone's life through the Aqashka system, because it's a path that is laid out for you from a very, very young age. And this timeline, wow, it just lays out how incredibly structured and age-gated every single step of life is. It kicks off with coming of flame training when you're a teenager. Then you move into an identification phase where the elders are actually screening potential partners for you. From there, a very specific selection window opens up to choose a first spouse. And then you've got this systematic expansion phase where more spouses are added later in life. The whole thing is just so clear and predictable. And this chart, it just perfectly nails the difference between Aqashka and, well, what most of us are used to. The source material is super clear on this. Romantic dating is just forbidden. So instead of individual, spontaneous choice, you get this communal, supervised process. And it's not driven by romance, it's driven by a purpose, societal stability. The power to decide rests with the community elders, not just with the two people involved. Okay, so you've got a potential match. But hold on, you're not heading straight down the aisle. Instead, the couple enters this phase called Kutalin no Nomar. And it's basically a 5-month trial. Yeah, think of it less as a romantic engagement and more like a high-stakes probationary period. Yeah, the whole point of this trial isn't to see if you're, in love. It's all about testing core character traits that are absolutely vital to the community. Your endurance when things get tough, your emotional restraint, and your ability to cooperate. And all of this is done under the watchful eyes of supervisors. And when I say tested, I mean literally tested. This scorecard shows how a couple is actually measured, quantitatively across 7 different areas. We're talking everything from how clearly they communicate and resolve fights, to their work ethic and how well they follow their schedules. It is an incredibly data-driven way to figure out if someone is ready for marriage. And those scores? They have very real, totally non-negotiable consequences. If your monthly score is 13 or lower, the engagement is terminated. No hard feelings, but it's over. If you're in that middle range, you get a 30-day extension to improve. There's almost no gray area here. The numbers make the decision. The elders have this seal phrase they use during the trial, and it just perfectly sums up the whole philosophy. Restraint is strength, not delay. During these 5 months, any sexual activity is strictly forbidden. The system really values discipline and self-control, seeing it not as some frustrating waiting period, but as a real demonstration of a person's character and strength. All right, so let's say a couple passes the trial. They get married. Now the real work of building a family, or a house, as it's called, begins. And this is where Aqashka introduces another mandated and, honestly, kind of a shocking element for a lot of us: plural marriage. So you've got to ask, why? Why is this a rule? Well, the source material explains it as a deeply practical strategy. For one, it creates a really strong social safety net inside the family unit itself. It also strengthens the household's finances. And this last one is fascinating, this idea of emotional redundancy. It makes sure the family doesn't depend on just one single relationship, preventing a single point of failure if something goes wrong. And no surprise here, this whole expansion happens on a super strict timeline. A man marries his first wife when he's around 18 or 19. Then, at age 22, he adds a second wife. And then, much later on, at age 35, the female adds a second husband. The family is designed to grow methodically, step by step, to make sure it stays stable. Okay, but, no system is perfect, right? So what happens when a marriage just completely breaks down? Well, the Aqashka way of handling divorce is just as structured and ritualized as its way of handling marriage. I mean, it's the obvious question, isn't it? If you have a system that's this rigid, how on earth does it handle failure? Well, the answer is very, very carefully, and always with the goal of learning from what went wrong. Okay, first things first, you can't just casually separate. They see that as just creating chaos. Divorce is only an option as a total last resort, after every single attempt to fix things has failed. And it's actually treated as a failure of the process, something the whole community has to learn from. The actual court proceeding is incredibly solemn and orderly. No drama here. It starts with 3 minutes of total silence for reflection, then each partner gives a formal statement, witnesses can chime in, and then the elders go deliberate in private. After that, they issue their final ruling. The whole focus is on calm discernment, not emotional outbursts. And this is the powerful seal phrase they use when a divorce is granted. The bond is released, the dignity remains. It just perfectly highlights the system's goal. Even when a marriage has to end, the process is designed to protect the honor and dignity of the people involved. The marriage might be over, but their place in the community, that's secure. And that brings us full circle to the final stages of life in the Aqashka system. It doesn't just stop after marriage. It has a very clear path for how society supports and, importantly, uses the wisdom of its elders, especially those who've lost a spouse. And this idea of the widow path is so important. When someone's spouse dies, they aren't just left on their own. They go through this ritual that formally unbinds them from their marriage tokens and brings them back into the community with a new, respected status as a wisdom carrier. They're absolutely not seen as less than. And we're not just talking about a fancy title here. This comes with real functional roles in the community. Widows and widowers can choose paths like serving in the temple, mentoring the youth, or becoming community educators. They are given a clear purpose and a duty, making sure that every single person is a contributing member of society, right to the very end. So we end right back where we started, with the ultimate philosophy of the whole Aqashka system. It's a really profound and honestly challenging idea. Is the purpose of our closest relationships our own personal happiness, or is it for something bigger, the continuity of our culture, our community, and the future itself? Aqashka's answer to that is crystal clear. But what's yours?